Hello walkers, and welcome back to Fargo, North Dakota. We are filming a little bit more downtown. I filmed one earlier this morning. We're going to start again at Broadway and 2nd Avenue, which you can see has been closed off. There's going to be an event here tonight. And then we're staying over here at the Jasper Hotel. It's pretty nice. It is a little misty, so hopefully that won't get on the lens too badly. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide as always. And that's all you need to see of me. And I'm gonna wander down here. This is a bit of an exploration. We have been here for a couple days on behalf of Traveling Mel with a job with North Dakota Tourism, which has been fantastic. Seen so many cool things. I'm going to take you down an alley here because there's a couple of murals that I'd love to show you. And then we're going to loop around and back and forth and figure stuff out. These are a bit of an exploration, these videos, these virtual travel walks, virtual treadmill walks. So I hope you'll bear with me. I don't have all the information, but I've looked up a little bit here and there. And so we'll learn a little bit together. If you haven't subscribed yet, I really would appreciate it if you do that. It helps me out a lot. Of course, comment. I love getting your comments. I love interacting with you guys. It's one of the best things about this channel, actually. And I read all the comments and reply to all the comments that I see, so please let me know your thoughts. There's the boiler room, which is actually in the basement there. It's a restaurant. Teddy's Eatery and Parlor is also a restaurant. And we're gonna find, oh yeah, here's one. Several murals along this alley. So here's one. Robert Alley, welcome to Robert's Alley. And there's a few more here. We won't spend too much time doing this. Here's one. Downtown Fargo. But I love murals. I think it's a cool use of the spaces. They're not always nice, but they're kind of, I think they're fun. I don't know, usually. Oh, it is, let me look up some stats for you. It's late August. It's a Friday. It is 66 degrees. Here's an old Guinness, or a new Guinness sign, I guess, a recreation of an old Guinness sign. 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius, 2:45 local time. So here's one over here. We got a couple, some flowers, and then they've planted some. I don't know what that is. Looks like it might be hops, but I'm not sure. Down there. And then we've got the Dillard Alley over here, which is kind of fun. I'm not sure what the story is behind all of these different murals. I don't know if it's a coordinated effort or they just sort of sprung up. But hopefully someday they'll have a bunch of vines trained up these walls. This is next to the Beer and Fish Company, which I would definitely be willing to try out. I bet at night these lights up here that are hanging over are pretty nice, and when it's not raining, it might be a good place to have a dinner and a drink outside. It's not raining and it's not 45 below. So there's another one over here next to these dumpsters. That's a pretty cool one too. I like that style. They've obviously used the old stucco. I don't really want to go all the way down there. But nevertheless, and you know me, I love a good alley, and this is a pretty good one. The old Smith, Follett, and Crow underwear and knitwear building, now home of the Lofts and Mezzaluna social events. It was cool, quite cool earlier, and of course it was raining, but it poured hard earlier after my last earlier walk. But now it's warming up and it's humid, and I have a little regret around all my layers. There. How you doing? Anywho, make do. This is 4th Avenue. Over there is Broadway. We walked down that in the earlier walk, but we're gonna loop around here. We got this rooftop art installation here, and then over across the way is the Ivers on Robert Street as we go to Robert Street North. In the distance, I think might be a wedding happening at the Sanctuary Events Center. But I love this old building. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of power cables or something, cables, cable TV, draped over the side and going into people's windows. One of the things I'm loving about downtown Fargo are all these awesome signs, like Fargo Linoleum Company. I don't know if that's a really old sign or it's just a retro design, but I kind of dig it. You can see the Smith, Follett and Crowell old advertising mural. The front of Mezzaluna. Looks like they're cutting up a halibut. Ooh, a music emporium, string instrument sales and repair. That's kind of neat. I assume they're still going. There's an open sign down there. I'm not sure what fly is. Cycle, strengthen, sculpt. So maybe it's a spin class or something? I don't know. Yeah, looks like a spin class. I think off to the right, I believe, well, that might be the courthouse, the U.S. courthouse. Got a big Roberts Commons garage here for public parking. Coming up here on the left is 46 North or 46 North. Pints and Provisions. We ate there last night. It was pretty good. They had a good selection of beers. Had a nice fish sandwich. Yeah. It was good. It was kind of a neat space too. Love all these old buildings. Okay, so I'm gonna loop left, but don't worry, we're gonna end up seeing this cathedral over here, but we're going to make a left here first on 2nd Avenue North. You can see another building going up here. I don't know if it's going to be condos or office space or maybe both, who knows. There's going to be retail space available. And that's all I know. Youngblood Coffee Roasters. Haven't been there yet. So the black building, I read a sign about that. It was built in 1929, 1930 or something like that. 8 stories tall, was at one point the tallest building in North Dakota until the Capitol building was built. So this is a VW. That's the alley we just went down. I'm going to skip across here. It's nice to see the sun coming out. Across the way, you see an ice cream cone on the building, is the Silver Linings Creamery. We've been there a couple times now. It is quite good. Loving it. See the Spirit Room sign. I'm digging that. And over here, so 1930 was when it built, but black building. They actually redid the sign a few years ago, relatively recently, because it had been taken down in the 70s. But and I love this ironwork on the front. Maybe Art Deco, is that the style there? You can see the buildings across the way. I have to pick my pace. I hope I can find my way over to where I want to go. So I'm just gonna swing you around here to see that building again, the black building. Coming up on First Avenue. I gotta stop. You see the Forum building in the distance, that sign sticking up. I'm gonna show you something else while we wait here. They have all these pillars down here, and each one has some interesting information about the area. This one is about Bonanza Farms. They had one on ecology, one on riverboats, one on recreation, all that fun stuff. You can see another one over there. They're on all four corners. Haven't read them all yet, but I've read several, and they're pretty informative. They're really well done. You know, it takes a minute or two to read, and then you can move on to the next thing. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a better view down there. I don't think what I called the federal courthouse was the federal courthouse. I think I see the federal courthouse down there. You can see some outside dining here for tea and crepe, Thai ice cream. Here's a smoke shop, Puffs. This seems to be, looks like maybe a place where they bring in maybe food trucks. Fort Knox, N-O-K-S. Maybe there's a what do you call it? Bar or restaurant in here, but it looks like a place where you come, get your food, and then you sit down and hang out. I'm going to show you this building too because it looks cool. The Fargo National Bank. One of those old 19th century buildings. This is NP Avenue. We wait for the light here. Okay. So on our right is the old Broadway Grill. Kind of a neat old style. And I'm going to show you what that looks like down there. There's a Noble Smokehouse and Bar, but some nice old buildings down there as well. We're going to go down one more block here. Well, that's cool. The old Bell Bank. It's an interesting building as well. Love these old buildings. These look like they've been modernized, maybe. Up ahead is going to be Island Park. I don't think we're actually going to go down there. And then there's a whole other, maybe a little more industrial section of town down here. I'll just say it is. I walked through a neighborhood in my earlier walk to the north of downtown. Pretty quiet little neighborhood. We're going to cross another set of railroad tracks that goes east-west through town within about 8 blocks of each other. And there's a pretty sweet mural on these railroad cars as we hit Main Avenue up here on the other side of the railroad cars. But you can see this railroad goes kind of a nice view straight down there. Ooh, got warm. And so I'm going to spin you around here so you can see the lights hitting those cars pretty well. Fargo Park, and then North Dakota State University in the far one. Beyond that is an old railroad depot, which we are going to head down that direction. You got a coffee house, Diamonds, and then Ramos Guy's Pizza. Apparently that's pretty good. And some other things. A Front Street Tap Room. I wouldn't mind trying that out. Some pretty interesting old buildings. I mentioned this in the earlier video. The city is about 105,000 people, which is slightly larger than Billings, Montana. If that is of interest to you. Here's the, it's now the rec department, the depot. Look at all these flowers. It is so humid here, even though they've had kind of a drought recently. The last couple days have certainly made up a significant portion of that deficit, I would say. It's been nice for us too, just to have a little rain. I mentioned commenting, and I hope you will comment, especially if I'm missing something or I'm not saying something that people would find of interest, or sharing your own memories of Fargo. If you're from Fargo, please, love to hear from you. I know there's a lot I'm missing. I'm really impressed with how cool the area is. Maybe it's just because I haven't, having kids and stuff, we don't really go out that much. And seeing a downtown again, is kind of fun and exciting. We cross 8th Street here, and we're actually, I shouldn't have crossed. We're actually going to go across Main down to this area again and look back the way we came earlier. And if you look down that way, if you go down, I want to say 4 or 5 blocks, there's a Wild Terra cidery. And we went there and had some ciders last night. Kind of a neat old Greg shorthand school. You can imagine that being a thriving business in the 1920s, 1900s. I guess I have to hit this button. This is a long light. Sorry about that. You can see another area that we're going to try and get to after we come down this little area. But I actually haven't been to this little area down here yet. So we'll see if we can get there. Whoops. Here we go. Hi there. You can see some older buildings down there too, but also to the right. Sunshine Sea Botanicals, and I'm a little torn. I think I'm going to walk down this way. Not a lot of traffic coming. And I'm going to cross over. The Dakota Business College is that taller building. Former, I mean, I don't think that's what it is now. It's upstairs looks abandoned. And then we've got I don't know if it's graffiti or a mural, must be a mural, involving penguins here. Sorry to be sweeping back and forth, but I'm enjoying exploring this area. Well, I wasn't planning to go much further than this one block, but I'm seeing some interesting street lights. So I'm just going to go down another block or so, make a right on a block, and see what we find. This little bit here doesn't seem that interesting, but it will, I think, in another block or so. There. We just crossed First Avenue South. Oh, there's some cool stuff down here that I did not expect. As I look off towards that park, we're gonna, again, change of plans, adapting to changing circumstances. Try and take off my jacket here while I film. All right. So the park is down that way. Which looks interesting, but I think what I want to do is go down one more block. Do I? I don't want to go too far down here. Go down one more block and then we'll make a right, because I see a cupola through the trees that way that I want to find out about. There's so much I want to show you guys. Such a neat little town, neat little city here. But can't do it all. Beautiful old house over there. I love a good porch. Seem to be largely apartment buildings down here. I was kind of hoping to find some stately homes. Well, might be a few interspersed, but we're gonna make a right and go find out what the deal on that cupola is, and then maybe loop back either through the park or back to downtown to see some other buildings down there. But I think we'll go to the park probably. I saw this on the earlier walk where the median, I would call the median between the sidewalk and the street, is about 3 times what it is in most cities. It's kind of nice. It creates a very broad area to put trees. The houses are set back pretty far. See this building where the cupola is. I guess this is the courthouse. I see a sign to that effect. I don't know if it's the county courthouse, Cass County, or some other, like the urban courthouse, city municipal courthouse, I guess. But I'm going to show you this first, because this is a beautiful house. Crossing, this is the corner of 9th and 3rd, if you're following along on the map. How beautiful this is. Look at that, that's awesome. Isn't that beautiful? I think it is. Okay, so this is quite the modern building. Over on the right, the courthouse has a modern section. We're gonna jaywalk across the street, go see the front of it, and loop back towards the park. But don't worry, there's more. Well, I'm going to give you a view of that. That's probably going to be the best view we get of this building. The classic heart with a lot of modern additions, it looks like. Interesting red stone. County courthouse. And as I said, we are in Cass County here. Oh, 1904. It's pretty. All right. All right, this is 2nd and I think 4th? 2nd and 9th that we're crossing. That's the intersection here. We're going to cut back down to this park, Island Park. And then from there, I think I'm going to go all the way over to the river. I think I can get there. And we will make our way upriver. And hopefully I have enough battery and time to get to the Hjemkomst Center, which we went to earlier, and it was fascinating. It's actually on the other side of the river in Minnesota. But it has a recreated Viking ship, and which has this amazing story where this guy just got super interested in doing that he was a local guy, I think, and so he and some friends and his family built it, and then they not only built it over the course of a couple of years, they then sailed it to Norway, which I think is fascinating and amazing. And there's a little documentary they were showing about the trip, and this was in 1982 that they sailed it over and crossed the Atlantic Ocean, lost the rudder, sprung a leak in a storm, but they made it over there and were welcomed by adoring crowds and met the King of Norway. And I mean, it wasn't just, they didn't just show up. There was press around it and that sort of thing. But you know, I think that's a fantastic story. They launched it in Duluth and then made their way down to the Atlantic, took off from New York, and then I think it took them about a month to get over, 70 some odd days, I think. And then the other thing at the center is they have some local history downstairs, and then they have a recreated Stav church, or Stav Kirk, which is it's a recreation of a church from Norway made totally out of wood. You can take a little tour, and it's beautiful from the outside, but you go inside and it's just as beautiful. And so we'll see if we can make it all the way over there. But first, the park, and it looks like there's some doings, some goings on over here as we get to 2nd Avenue and 7th Street. Beautiful bucolic park here. Like they've got tennis courts off to the right, maybe, with maybe some stands to watch, so competitive tennis. Oh, off to the left, looks like an Olympic-sized pool with an old wall that's being held up by steel girders. Huh. Looks like maybe a farmer's market of some sort.
Hello.
Hi there. What's going on in here?
The Island Park Show. It's an art and craft festival, Saturday,
Awesome.
Sunday.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
The Island Park Show. If you didn't hear that, it doesn't start till tomorrow, but we'll walk through here and see some other bits of the park. Pardon me. See everybody setting up. It's a little muckety after all this rain. Oh yeah, here are the tennis courts. There are bleachers and stands. That's pretty cool. I have to look on my map so I don't get too lost. Cool. I think we're on track here. Well, not really. I think I need to go to the left. This is a wonderful park. Reminds me a little bit of a park we saw in Stockholm. But I am going to cut across to the river, the Red River. And there should be a skate park over here somewhere. Bunch of fat squirrels tucking away food for the winter. It's the YMCA over there. It's all fenced off for some reason. But we're going to go up here to 4th Street. Looks like there's a football field down there too. It's going to be one of our longer walks, I believe. That's kind of a cool looking, maybe a community garden across the way. Well, I guess, oh, this was the stage. Oh, yeah, this is not the Y. This is the stage, which has obviously been all closed up. Looks like maybe it's an outdoor, or was an outdoor amphitheater. Kind of want to go up there and see. But we are going to cut across this closed road here, and you can see the skate park over there. Another building going up or being added to. This is the Dyke West Park and Skate Park. Pardon my sniffle. There. It looks like they've got maybe a community garden or some sort. behind here. These skate parks are awesome. We've got one in Livingston, seen them around other places, and it's just a nice place for kids to go and burn off some steam and do some fun tricks and hang out without having to be all shady and whatnot. Nice. This is Veggie Town. We're gonna walk up to the top of this dike and see what's up there. Oh. Kind of hoping there'd be a trail up here, but it's really just mud. Fun. That's okay. We'll make our way down. Trying not to slip too much. Ooh, that's sticky mud too. We got some kayaks from Nature Up North the other day, yesterday I think, and we kayaked up here from the Hjemkomst parking lot. There's a bridge there, a little access area to launch your boat or to launch your kayak or canoe underneath the bridge there. And we paddled up here and paddle back and then paddle a little bit below. That was pretty fun. They've got a little low-head dam they've created here with a bunch of boulders and stuff. I assume that's for somewhat for flood control and maybe for entertainment activities. Oh, you can cross. I'm gonna do that. I think you can cross here. That's exciting. Let me check my Google Maps. Yeah. So we'll cross here and then we'll just walk down to that other place. So that's going to take a little bit. Hope you guys are up for it. If not, you can come back when you are. Maybe bookmark this place. I think you can click share, or it should remember where you are in the video. So if you do come back, you'll start where you left off. But I would encourage you to come back because this church is super cool. Plus, we're going to be walking around along this awesome river. And we're going to be going all the way over to a whole nother state. Right? That's exciting. I love a good trail system in the city. Pedestrian and bike trails. See this little, how peaceful and sublime it is up here. This floating bridge, pretty sweet. Up there, and down there is a boat ramp if you want to put in a bigger boat. and I mentioned this in the other video too, but this is a floating ramp, and it has to be, and it's anchored down pretty well because they get a lot of flooding here. It's pretty regular because the river flows north, the Red River goes up to Lake Winnipeg. I think its total length of the river is something like 545 miles, 47 miles, something like that. And because it flows north, the southern bit thaws and gets runoff before the northern bit. And so you end up with these ice dams. So 100,000 years ago or something like that, this area was covered by glaciers. And as the glacier retreated, which basically just melted, it sort of gouged out this valley. And because it went north, the river runs north. So this, and as I said, the ice dams, you can see Downtown Fargo over here. So it creates ice dams, meaning not really creates them, but just they don't melt fast enough. And the ice backs up the water. The water goes up over the banks and causes serious flooding. Yeah. You see some of these trees. I don't know if that's because of an illness in the tree or if it's the season, but it is the end of August. And we are up around 45, 46 degrees, which is probably why they call that pub 46 degrees or 46 north. Giant grasshoppers bouncing around. Oh, there's a whole nother park over here. Looks like they have some frisbee golf stations. Huh. I imagine that's why this is a park. It looks like it's all pretty low lying, and if the river comes over that dike, it's all flooded. And there's not as much of a dike on this side. I would say I will try and do chapters on this video so that if you just wanted to skip ahead, you could, but this is a really nice and pleasant walk along the river here. We're going to go under a couple bridges, I believe, which should be a good view. One is an old railroad bridge with a kind of a neat 19th century, I would guess, pylon pillar system. You can see it there. There's 3 bridges right in a row. A road, a railroad, and another road. So that third bridge that has, no, it's the 4th bridge, sorry, I believe, that has the access. But I love that old stone pylon that's in the middle of the river there. There's a good view of it. The events that must have seen, they used to have, this is it's a pretty narrow river, right? I would say it's 100 feet across. And they used to run steamboats up here, not the big giant ones, but still paddle wheelers, to haul freight from here to Minneapolis to Winnipeg. In fact, it was sponsored by, I may retract that to Minneapolis bit, but it was sponsored by some folks in Minneapolis, St. Paul, because they were looking to reduce freight costs up to Winnipeg, which is a big prairie city in, it's not Ontario, is it? Winnipeg, Manitoba. Which is the terminus of this river. And so they built like 5 or 6 of them, and they ran fairly regularly until about 1887 when the railroad came in, and they just couldn't compete on price. See some floodwater markers on the distant support system. Here's some more up here. All various versions of 110. Or maybe those are just for when they were pounding these things into the earth. I don't know. Oh, cool. Here comes the got another about 5 minutes to the Hjemkomst Center. So I switched my jacket to the other hand, other arm. Okay, here's another view of that giant pylon. Love it. I don't know why. It's just pretty amazing in a world of steel and cement that there's still this old stonework that has stood the test of time. The Moorhead River Corridor Trail. So I don't know if I mentioned that, but we're actually in Moorhead, Minnesota right now when we cross the river. And you can imagine, well, I can't imagine, it's hard to imagine, a 200-foot, which was the largest steamship up there, that would come up here to this spot. And there were grain elevators and loading docks. And I mean, it wasn't like Cincinnati or New Orleans, but still, or Fort Benton, Montana, but still, it's pretty impressive. And they'd tow barges with grain and that sort of thing. There. So very cool to me. And I haven't even talked to you about how awesome it is to have all these trees. I love living in Montana. I love Livingston. But I do love all these massive trees and how good they are for an urban environment, not just the actual physical environment by cooling a place by up to 10 degrees and creating additional cloud cover, which helps with cooling down the planet by reflecting the sun energy back up into the atmosphere. But just psychologically, I love them. Just makes it so much more pleasant. These are drops coming off the trees and not more rain, I hope. So those steamships were wood powered, not coal fired. So they would chop down trees all along the river to help power their boilers. And so a lot of these trees are, or must have been, since 1887, which is, I mean, some of these are decorative, obviously, but these spruce trees. But there was a big issue with that in Montana along the Missouri River as well, where they, it was massive amounts of cargo and freight that was taken up into Montana all the way to Fort Benton by these steamships, and they would power themselves by cutting down cottonwoods on all the islands and on the shore. And that's a problem. If you want to mitigate flood, if you want to clean the water, if you want to have a healthy ecosystem, you got to have the plant life there. And not only that, but they had a hard time. The way the cottonwoods reproduce is to have bits break off, float downstream, and take root, and as well as take seeds. And so they sort of lost that. And of course, those trees are, they live for hundreds of years. And so now they're trying to bring, in places they're trying to bring back cottonwoods on the islands and in the river corridor, which I think is great. And I look forward to seeing them take off again. Because the wood itself is kind of useless. I mean, you can burn it, but it's really soft and not good for making things. It's really only good for burning and not that great for that. So you can see this access here with a serpentine switchback trail left and right here. And then down there is a little floating dock. We'll go down there, where you can launch your kayak or your canoe and hop in and out, because as the river comes up and down, you may or may not be able to, that's a 2.5 foot drop there onto the dock. You may or may not be able to get to it. So we're gonna head back up here, and you can see this white tented thing. That's the Hjemkomst Center. That white tent bit is to so they can have the mast of the Hjemkomst, which means homecoming, ship in there, and it's all set up and you can walk around it and touch it if you want to. They also have a second level that you can get up and look down into it, which is really interesting. Great display on the history of it and its story. And I would encourage you, if you are in Fargo, to give this, or Moorhead, to give this an hour or two of your time. But we're going to go over and see the Stav Church, Stav Kirk, I think is what it is. Stav, like stave or staff, named because of the vertical slats along the side, which is also probably, you can see it there, probably related to Stav. I guess I'm just cutting across the grass here. I could have gone the long way. And we took a tour, and she explained a lot of the different symbolism and purposes of the different parts. And it's a recreation of an actual Stav church in Norway. And so there are some concessions. They had to, the city required they use nails. The original did not. They did not coat it entirely in tar or slather pig's blood around the windows at the top. And they have fire exits and a sprinkler system in there. But look at all that woodwork. Something like 20,000 cedar roof shingles. And then the actual other wood is local fir, I believe. And that's cool. I love it. I want to go to, I really want to go I'm just going to stick my head in here with the camera and pan around. I'm not going to go in, but look how cool it is up there. There's a tour going on. I don't want to bother it. Isn't that awesome? Look how beautiful that is. Alrighty. You're supposed to buy a museum pass to get in there. And I have. We paid this morning, so I don't feel too bad about that. I might even still have my sticker. They give you a little sticker to let them know that you're part of that you paid your admission fee. I think it's like $10. It's nominal at best, at worst. I'm gonna poke the camera in so you can see the front, or actually I guess the stern of the ship. You can see the hours there. I guess we're pushing up on closing time. Sorry about that. Isn't that cool? And I would encourage you again to go see that in person. It's really interesting. I found it fascinating anyway. And here we go. This is going to be it, folks. Thanks for sticking with me for, wow, 64, 65 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed this side of Fargo and Moorhead. Please come back. I'm not sure where the next one's going to be. Hopefully in Bismarck, but I'm not sure we're going to have time to film there tomorrow. We've got an 11-hour drive, 10-hour drive, more with stops. And I'd love to do a walk there, but I'm not sure it's going to. Then we head off. We're home for a few days. And we head off to Alaska, and I'm going to do some filming in Anchorage and towns on the Kenai Peninsula. So come back to see those. We will see you then, if not sooner. Until then, keep on stepping.